All right, let's get on to some local issues here at home. Could we eventually see, do we think, the end of the Labor Party as we know it? Well, that's Joel Fitzgibbon's prediction, as you saw then from Eliza's package, if things don't change. Let's bring in my panel. Sky News host of Across Australia, Peter Gleeson, joining me now from Brisbane, and Radio 2GB 4BC broadcaster extraordinaire Luke Grant from the Hunter Valley. A lot of tension, gentlemen, a lot of tension in the Labor Party, particularly Gleeson. We're seeing it around issues of energy, emissions. When you see this sort of talk of a split, you've got to think that the leader's in real trouble, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Labor's at the crossroads. This is the greatest challenge for the Labor Party in a generation, and it comes back to what happened on May 18 last year. Blue-collar workers in the Hunter Valley, where Luke is now, and of course Central Queensland in seats like Flynn, Capricornia, Herbert and Dawson, they basically shifted en masse and voted for Scott Morrison because they saw the way in which the Labor Party was abandoning its core principles of looking after the workers. When you look at the Labor Party, you know, founded in Barcaldine in 1898, you know, off the back of the shearers' strike, these guys have gone full circle. They're now pandering to the lefties, to the latte set in Balmain and St Kilda, and of course West End in Brisbane. And they've got to make a decision. Fitzgibbon is being very courageous, Peter. He's being very courageous. He can see the fact that he may lose his seat in the Hunter Valley unless they re-embrace blue-collar workers.
Yeah, but this Barcaldine versus Balmain split's not a new thing, Luke. I mean, I'd argue that there's already been for some time two very distinct Labor parties. There's the ALP that we know, and there's the Greens. I mean, they are a serious breakaway. They've been there now for 20 years. They harvest up 10% of the vote. But there's been an insurgency inside the ALP from Greens types running the organisation, heavy in the membership and obviously now in seats in Parliament. They now don't just want the Greens, they want to take over the traditional parts of the ALP, and I guess that's where Fitzgibbon is fighting back.
Well, let's not forget that at the last election, Joel was brought down to preferences. Now, for Joel Fitzgibbon in that forever safe seat that I think his father once held, that is ridiculous. So he's had to walk into the room of mirrors, as he should have, and he's thought to himself, now, how the hell did this happen? And the reality is, and I love it, Peter, when they talk about, oh, you know, we should transition out of coal mining because there's so many jobs in renewable energy. And I can just imagine all those coal miners earning 150 grand a year, standing in big fields of solar panels with a bottle of Windex and a rag, you know, and cleaning them for 150 grand, and it's rubbish. And the voters aren't dumb, they knew that. So Joel's had a near-death experience, if you will, but he's having the conversation that party should have probably had some time ago, and it's probably a good time to have it. And I hope for the Labor Party's sake, they take Joel and the others. I see Jim Chalmers had a bit to say from Warwick today, so I was saying the others seriously here, because Peter's right. It is about cost of living for the Aussie battler, the Aussie worker. The party used to represent them.
And look, it's also about our democracy too, because sometime in the future, Labor will be running the country, and I'd much prefer a Labor of traditional values and Joel Fitzgibbon than one that's lost its way on the hard left side of politics.